Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again. TFT Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. And this is me, Oberon, with Oberon's outlook on the emotional exchanges, my weekly forecast with tarot and a little dab of astrology to tell you about what the emotional currents, undercurrents, ups and downs, surprises or not so surprises you can expect in the week ahead. So this reading is for today, Friday. That's April 16th, and that's through next Thursday, which is the 22nd. All right, so to get started, we normally do a collective reading for the entire viewing audience, and I use the Isis Tarot for that. So we're going to do that right now. Hope everyone is doing great today. It's a little chilly here in Michigan. Expecting a little warm up. We'll see. And I'm just going to pick one at random. So it's the rose. Aspirations, desires, wishes. Perhaps we need to make a choice. Perhaps it's about high-level love, harmony, wishes and desires. All right, so it sounds like a good card for the emotional outlook for the collective. And now we're going to get started with our first reading, which is for the air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. This one's for you. Our first card is your word of the week. We have desolation. Desolation. Air signs may find that there is a desolation in their lives in this next week. What that means is basically we will feel forsaken of love. So look to some possible really major disagreements, disharmonies, with love. It's kind of interesting considering what we had with the overall collective, the rose. So I'm thinking that the air signs, it's a little bit more deeper there, what's going to happen. And it may be that we are switching alliances for new love, or that maybe there is the breakdown of love before new love begins, things like that. So let's get on with the rest of the reading. Air signs, what emotional happiness will you find this week? And it's the King of Swords, but reversed. I believe that our happiness may be finding that we're getting away from a problematic situation that mostly represented making a choice we did not feel good about. That if we are basically avoiding, putting off, or somehow moving beyond this choice, this judgment or situation, it will make us happy. It may very well be that we should never have been in the position to do that. So it may also be too that we're happier because we have a burden taken off of our shoulders, a burden of leadership, perhaps in terms of determining an emotional outcome. So I'm wondering too if that maybe for those in serious relationships, there was some question about where it was going, and maybe we are putting that off, or maybe we are resolved to like what we have there. But I do feel that it is also challenging, and probably even more challenging when we consider what that position is. The idea that this next card is what is challenging to you in this, and it's the Three of Swords. So I'm seeing a pattern here, because I'm wondering if that the Three of Swords reversed is saying that we are working towards some healing over a separation or over something really bad emotionally. So I'm wondering how connected that is to the King of Swords, that maybe the idea here is that we have moved away from a bad relationship. That King reversed is like moving away, doesn't want to maybe necessarily make a judgment to the world at large, but inside they're saying need to move away. And this will put us into the position of working on our own healing, but that is challenging, yet that is also what is necessary. So then finally, what will be affecting other people in our emotional sphere around us? And it's the Chariot Reversed. And I'm thinking somewhere in your emotional landscape, whether it's a strong love or whether it's children, good strong friendships, we're finding that they are not feeling like they can really move ahead with their own lives and their own issues, and that maybe they're feeling particularly defeated in certain ways, or that they don't have the process or the energy to continue seeking their own emotional happiness. And I'm thinking that's what it is that maybe there is a continuum here. Maybe that's why we have desolation. So maybe this is a week for air signs really reviewing all of these relationships and maybe putting a perspective on them. And I hate to make the analogy to people on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere deciding that they have to purge followers, but it could be something like that, that just really we are coming to some emotional weighted areas in our lives, and what we find out about how other people feel, how other people react to the things that we care about or the things that we feel are strong importances may determine how we move away from them, or maybe just totally disagree with what it is that they see. Maybe their motives are just now being seen for what they are. But healing ultimately comes even though there is this sense of desolation. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think that was a good enough recap. So we're leaving that for the air signs. And we will now move on to the fire signs. And fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And your major word of the week is immortality, which is also number 13, which is also change. So I want you to think about that a little bit, because I'm going to think about it right now too, is that fire signs really feel that in this week that the thrust of what they're looking for, the idea of creating something awesome, something changing, fulfilling, is also about leaving your mark, leaving your fame or the impression you wish to leave so that others may always remember. And I think that's bound up with this card here, is that you have a strong force of change with you this week. You may find that really some sort of game changer has happened for you, and that it really catapults you into another arena of sorts. Sounds kind of interesting, eh, fire signs? Okay, so let's get on with the rest of the reading. Whoops. Fire signs. fire signs. Fire signs. I'm not surprised that you have that card there, so let's see what else you have. So what will be involved with your emotional happiness this week, fire signs? And we have the Two of Swords upright. And I think we are emotionally happy because we sort of feel a sense of calmness and precision even. We don't necessarily feel like we have achieved any particular goal, but we feel that there is a rightness in our world, especially where it may come to matters emotionally. Maybe we feel we have finally reached some level of equality or equivalence in our major relationships. And so we sort of feel like we are now able to be in a holding pattern and that there is not much really that can affect us one way or the other. And that's a good thing, mostly. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It may just mean that if anything is a surprise, you may have to grope a little bit for the appropriate course of action. But I think this is mostly a good thing here. Now, what will be surprising or challenging to you in this week is the Four of Discs, Four of Pentacles, Four of Stones. And it's also upright. I'm going to put that one over there. And I think what's challenging for you is that you want to hold on to everything right now, especially the emotional plateau that you may have reached here, indicated by the Two of Swords, that you don't want anything to really change this great feeling you have of change and immortality. Maybe it's immorality too. No, I'm just kidding. But this idea here with the Four of Discs is like you are really so taken with what you have. It's not about being selfish or anything like that. It's really about just saying, emotionally, you really want to keep this feeling for as long as possible. You don't want to give up any of this feeling unless it's really for a good reason and with the right person. So then, and that's challenging because maybe what that's saying though is that there is something you need to give. There is something you need to surrender in a way that maybe there's something more emotional that is trying to get through. Maybe there's a love or a loving situation you really do need to find and embrace in some way. So don't be too eager to hold it all and be open to some possibilities of change. Now then finally, what will affect those around you the most perhaps this week? Those you care about, whether they're your husband, wife, children, grandchildren, parents, grandparents, cousins, whoever they are. And it's the Three of Discs. It's upright. So these folks around you, maybe not all of them, but maybe some of them, they're looking for validation, especially in their emotional choices. Although this card normally applies to other parts of your life, we're putting it into the emotional realm here, and we're saying that people around you, those you care about the most, they want to be seen in the proper light. They want to feel, or they want to give praise. Maybe it's the other way too. Maybe they are the ones doing that. I think it's a little bit more of the former. They want to feel that validation of their love. And so that could be tied in with all of the other cards too, that although we may feel we have reached a plateau, we're still holding back something, or we're holding on to something. And maybe that's what's reflected here, that you need to give some of that away. You need to give some of your true love, your concerns, or at least the acknowledgement to those who matter the most to you. And then everyone will feel like they're going to live forever in that great change of love they feel. So I think that too is its own summation, and I'm going to let it just go with that. Thank you, fire signs. And now we're on to the water signs. Water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. This one's for you. Oops. And you have a word of the week. That overall collective thought for the water signs. Oh dear, I know this could apply to Scorpios. I don't know about the other water signs, but your word is hostility. So I'm just going to say, keep a damper on it. Keep a check on emotions. Any of you guys water signs who tend to maybe fly off the handle or just really want to say beyond words what you're feeling. Try not to do that. Try not to be approaching your solutions through achieving a hostile way to end matters. Try to be peaceful and calm. Try to appreciate, try to understand another point of view. Do not react aggressively for no good reason. Okay, so let's get on with the rest of the reading then. Oberon's tongue lashing to other water signs is over. And I'll just remind everybody here to watch Banshee's Material Matters on Sundays at 10 a.m. And you can also get the understanding on what's going on in your financial life, what kind of choices you can make for investments, employment, education, all of that. That's Eastern Standard Time, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. All right, water signs. What emotional happiness will you find this week? Bingo, you just hit the jackpot. You're the Queen of Cups. Water signs, despite, the hostile card there, more of a warning to watch out for that. Water signs will probably have it pretty easy, because I think what's really pleasant is there's just a great calmness. There's a great tranquility that relates to the idea that the emotional realm is really covering you in a very kind way, and that almost everything you're operating in creates a feeling of love and benevolence. You are enacting that with people. People are enacting that with you. It just feels pretty groovy. So then, what will be challenging to you this week, water signs? Oh, it's the Ten of Cups, and it's reversed. And maybe that gives us a little bit of explanation about hostility, but the idea that I guess we really feel pretty pleased with most things emotionally, but what is surprising is maybe we are thinking about a situation that really tends to overturn the cups of happiness in our life. That it may very well be that we are challenged by the fact that we know something bad emotionally is in the making. I'm going to say that because of the hostility card, that it may indicate that we're due for a major argument or emotional disagreement, possibly with somebody very close to us, or that maybe that person is arguing with us, or that maybe that person is actually creating some sort of break in our life together, or in our situation together. Maybe somebody really needs to pull back emotionally strongly at this time. This is going to be very challenging for you, depending on what that person really means in your life, what you're trying to do with them. So then, what will affect these people in your life? Whether they're, super, super close friends, or just relatives that you care strongly about, your coworkers, your boss, whoever that might be. What will affect them this week emotionally? And it's the Prince of Wands, which would also be the Knight of Wands. And I think that people around us have a strong drive to achieve something this week, Maybe they're out to claim their own sense of an emotional resonance vis-a-vis attraction and social magnetism, how they relate to a lot of people more on a social level, more on a larger level. So it may not be so much about dating, but maybe it's in that field of dating that they're not. Maybe it's somebody who's not seriously dating, but they want to be in the pool of where those things happen. So maybe this is somebody who's a young person, and they're really looking, maybe, I think, at ways to further themselves, attractiveness. I think they're looking for ways to define themselves. Maybe they're trying to be also more important to you, whether they have a love relationship with you or just a really solid emotional relationship with you. They're kind of standing up here. They're trying to be noticed. And I think this is maybe a time of growth for them. And I think that the only thing that could be would just be that if any of that provokes some sort of hostility, do keep a check on that. But overall, it seems like things are really kind of good for the water signs. You really are mostly at peace with yourself. You are looking at this matter maybe of a change with somebody, a surprising challenge or change to the status quo of a particular relationship. But overall, not bad. So I'm going to leave it there too and let that go for now. And we'll move on finally to the earth signs. And earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Your word of the week is confusion. Oh, I'm sorry for you, earth signs, because I got a bit of earth in myself, but earth signs may be feeling especially confused about the emotional ups and downs in their lives. They may strongly feel that they don't understand at all why they don't have love, or why they are missing out on love, or why they're not feeling love from others that they think they should be feeling it. There's just some confusion in general about the emotional ups and downs and situations in your life, earth signs. So let's see if we can get a little more information on that by throwing these other cards. And your first card. What will be emotionally happy for you this week? What emotional happiness will you actually find? And we have the Prince of Cups, which is like the Knight of Cups. He's upright. So this is a pretty good card here, because I think this is saying that maybe we have been waiting for something pleasant, loving, emotionally fulfilling, one way or the other, to come into our lives, and maybe it's about to do that. And so for those of us who feel we have been out of love for a while, maybe this represents the idea that we're moving towards an understanding with somebody, maybe that we want to get to know more. But for those of us who are already in pretty good relationships, it may be saying that there's still more happiness coming to you, especially this week, and that maybe things will continue to bond us stronger with those we care and love about. It could even be just, having your grandchildren visit, something like that. So then what is challenging to the earth signs this week? And you have the Queen of Discs, the Queen of Pentacles. And I think what's challenging is to find the best ways to express your love, that you want to create literally a landscape of love around you. You want everything possible that you can do to make the qualities of emotional happiness flourish in the world. That is your task this week, that you want to find ways to matchmake people, to find ways to bring little gifts to people to show how much you care for them. And maybe too, you also want others to do that for you. So that's your challenge, is maybe showing and being shown how little things and loving things can flourish and create even more love. Hey, I was a hippie. I believe this stuff, okay? Now, finally, what may be a situation for or will concern those you care about, your parents, your children, your best friends, co-workers, your lovers. What will concern them? And it's the Eight of Wands. And I guess maybe maybe it's moving too fast for them. Maybe there's just too much going on right now, There's just all this sense here of, confusion and love moving closer to you and being able to show physically the appreciation for loving things is really moving fast for maybe some other people. So it may be that other people, what will concern them maybe is that also too, you may be looking at some of these people saying, you're moving too fast on love with those folks or that person or that situation. It could even just be about something somebody really loves, that maybe somebody's getting involved in a new hobby or a new habit or pastime that they really love, but maybe they're moving really quickly on it. And of course, there's always that idea about haste makes waste. So if you see somebody who's really rushing towards something that looks emotionally good, but maybe is possibly going to have some implications, you may want to tell them to cool it a little bit. Maybe it's with you. Maybe you want somebody not to rush with you. Maybe you want to take your time and enjoy things a little bit more, let them flourish. But whatever it is, it's mostly a good week for the earth signs, and most of the signs didn't have too bad of a week. So I think we can all appreciate that. And I'm hoping everybody liked this reading. I hope it resonated. Please go ahead and like or share, subscribe if you haven't. We're just moving ahead here at TFT Tarot for Today, and by now you will probably have heard about our website with more readings and more information and more things to do than we even dreamed we could do. Who knew, right? So that's it for TFT Tarot for Today. Oberon's outlook on emotional exchanges. Check me out next week.